Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney, and today is Tuesday, April 13th. I have your top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Thank you for being here on what is truly a wild day in the news. There is a lot happening today, so let's get you caught up on everything you need to know. Here in the state of Ohio, Governor Mike DeWine is now recommending that all vaccine providers in the state temporarily pause Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccines. This, we know, is because the CDC and the FDA are recommending this because they are now investigating 6 cases. I want to emphasize here, this is 6 cases out of nearly 7 million doses. However, still important to know this, in 6 cases of women between the ages of 18 and 48 that received Johnson & Johnson vaccines, they developed blood clots in their brains. Now, these women between the ages of 18 to 48 all had low platelet levels. They had that in common. One person did die. So because of this is now being recommended as a pause. Now, this is not a mandate. It is a recommendation. There are providers who can still use Johnson & Johnson on individual basis. What this is it's targeted to healthcare providers to be aware of patients coming in with specific symptoms. And the combination of blood clot and low platelets is also incredibly rare, but that is something that was seen in all 6 of those women. Governor Mike DeWine is addressing the state today. He's done that at 3 p.m. We've got that on WKYC.com if you want to watch that back. And out of an abundance of caution, the governor has recommended that Johnson & Johnson vaccine be paused based on that guidance from the CDC and the FDA. Now, many people might be wondering what's going to go on with the mass vaccination clinics. Well, the Wolstein Center's mass vaccination clinics was planning on using the Johnson & Johnson vaccine for weeks 7 and 8. So the Ohio Department of Health is now working with FEMA on plans for weeks 7 and 8. And when we have that update, we will bring that to you. But we have already seen colleges around, for example, Ohio University is one who will be switching to Pfizer and not offering the Johnson & Johnson vaccine to college students. That's just one example of what's happening. Now, you might be wondering, what if you already got the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine? Well, if you already did, here's what you need to know. The CDC says that if you got the Johnson & Johnson shot more than a month ago, your risk is very low. But if you got it within the last few weeks, make sure to be aware of the following symptoms: severe headache, severe abdominal pain, leg pain, or shortness of breath. These are all symptoms that might indicate that you are having this kind of a blood clot. And the reason they say if you had it within the last few weeks is because these blood clots in these 6 women developed between 6 and 13 days after they received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So if you're in that category and you experience any of those symptoms, you should contact your health provider and seek medical treatment. So pay attention to your bodies and how you're feeling, especially if you recently received the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. Now we have an update out of the situation that is happening in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. The officer who shot Daunte Wright and killed him, age 20, has now been identified as Kim Potter, a 26-year veteran of Brooklyn Center Police Department. And we also know that she has resigned. Another person who has resigned, Brooklyn Center Police Chief Tim Gannon, resigned. Now, if you remember, he came out with a statement saying that it was his belief that the officer involved in the shooting reached for a weapon and thought that she was deploying her taser, but instead shot Daunte Wright and killed him. So he has now also resigned. Vice President Kamala Harris said that Daunte Wright should be alive today, and there are demands growing for police reform on the heels of this. Former President Barack Obama said that the death of Daunte Wright underscores the need to reimagine policing in the United States. And to give some context to this, Daunte Wright was killed about 14 miles from where George Floyd died in Minneapolis last year at the hands of former police officer who was then a police officer, Derek Chauvin, whose murder trial is ongoing right now. We're in week 3 of that murder trial happening in Minneapolis. And in that trial today, the defense for Derek Chauvin started calling witnesses after the prosecution rested its case. So today, the jury has heard from witnesses testifying about the effect opioids may have had on George Floyd, and one officer who said the bystander crowd was, quote, aggressive. Now, the judge in the case expects closing arguments in the trial on Monday, April 19th, so that's next Monday, and it's at that point that the jury will be sequestered for deliberations. The judge denied a request from Derek Chauvin's defense team for the jury to be sequestered early after protests were happening following the shooting and killing of Daunte Wright. Another upsetting instance that happened that we learned about today. The Cleveland baseball's first baseman, Yu Chang, received racist messages after what amounted to a game-losing error last night against the Chicago White Sox. Here's what happened. It was the bottom of the ninth on Monday night. There was one out, and there were runners on first and second, and Chang fielded a grounder hit by the White Sox, Nick Williams. Could have been a double play, but he threw to second base and he hit the White Sox catcher, Yasmani Grandal, in the helmet, and that allowed Nick Madrigal to score for the walk-off win for the White Sox. Well, after that happened, Chang received some pretty terrible messages, and I'm not going to repeat them here. They are in an image on an article on WKYC.com that Chang posted to Twitter. Really some hateful messages received by him, and he posted the hashtag #StopAsianHate, which is a hashtag that we have seen people using because of the rise in violence against Asians here in America. We see people that have been attacking them in the street. This is tied to racism related to the COVID-19 virus and just hate in general. And he said, he accepts comments and all kinds of things, positive and negative, but definitely not racist ones. And he thanked everyone for their love and then used the hashtag #StopAsianHate. So definitely not something we want to be seeing, especially not here in Cleveland. We're definitely better than that, and I'm just sorry to Yu Chang that he had to experience that. All right, now let's take a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers. These come from Johns Hopkins University for the global and the national numbers. Globally, the total number of reported cases is now at 136,961,788, and the total number of deaths is now at 2,950,702. In the U.S., the total number of cases is now at 31,289,768. The total number of deaths is now at 562,852. Now, we've got 4% of the global population, but we lead the cases and we lead the deaths by a long shot. We have 22.8% of the cases. Now, that is down another tenth of a percentage point from yesterday, and we have 19.1% of the deaths here in the U.S. Our numbers in Ohio are not looking good. New numbers in from the Ohio Department of Health. We've seen 2,340 new reported COVID cases in the last day. That's a big increase. And we have new data on the number of reported deaths. We've seen 90 more reported deaths confirmed since we last got data from the Ohio Department of Health on Friday. So that brings the total number of deaths here in Ohio to now 18,917 related to COVID-19. We've seen 167 new hospitalizations related to COVID in the last day. That's about double what we saw yesterday. And right now there are 1,281 people currently in the hospital being treated for COVID-19. That number is up. And of those people, 343 of them are being treated in the ICU. That number is also up. We've seen 13 new ICU admissions in the last 24 hours. That number is down. Taking a look at the vaccination picture here in Ohio, more than 23% of Ohioans have completed their COVID-19 vaccination protocols. That's more than 2.7 million people, and almost 62,000 people have completed that in the last day. Close to 36% of Ohioans have started the vaccination process. That's almost 39,000 more people in the last day, and that's close to 4.2 million Ohioans. Here's something you need to know if your financial situation changed in the last year, possibly related to COVID-19. There are certain people who will be getting what's being called a plus up or more stimulus money. This is for people who made less money in 2020 than they did in 2019, but they hadn't yet filed their 2020 taxes when that third, possibly $1,400 stimulus check became available to Americans at the beginning of this year. Now, if you qualified for more money than you got, you will get the money you are owed when you file your tax return for 2020 and they're able to see. So your stimulus check for the $1,400 round, the third round of payments, will be based on your 2020 income. So if that's less than what you had in 2019 and you hadn't yet filed, again, those are the people who will be getting a little bit more money back from the IRS. Okay, one more very exciting announcement to share with you today. After a day like today, This is kind of the most appropriate moment for this. We are launching a brand new show, and it's called It's All Good News, and I have the honor of hosting it every week. This will drop every Wednesday at 1 p.m. on the WKYC YouTube page, and it is only good news, which is something that we desperately need right now. So, a show every week dedicated to exclusively good news and really hoping to share a lot of your good news. So make sure you share that with us. You can use the hashtag GoodNewsCLE. You can send it in the WKYC app. You can text it to us, 216-344-3300, and you can email goodnews@wkyc.com. The first episode is live today. It's got not one, but two amazing reunions. It has adorable animals. It's got Shaquille freaking O'Neal doing something very, very generous. So you're going to want to check it out. It's on the WKYC YouTube page right now. And if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube page, now is a great time to do it. There'll be a playlist there, so you'll easily be able to find all the episode of It's All Good News once we really get rolling and get some more of these out there. So check it out and let me know what you think about it. That's it for your 3 News Now update today for Tuesday, April 13th. I'll see you next up with your trending stories on what's new in clicking in Cleveland, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for more 3 News Now. Between then, everyone, stay safe, be well. I'm Stephanie Haney.